Some of y'all are probably looking at this picture right now and saying to yourself, who is this person right here? Well, this is Joey Mannarino. If you've been following me for a while, I talked about him once before, but it was a while ago, and it was for some anti-black stuff that he had said even at that particular time. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I'm sure that if you go into the search and you type my name in and type in Joey Mannarino, the video that I did on him should pop up. It was sometime this year, I believe, but it was a few months back, and I really haven't talked about him since. But this came across my timeline on Twitter, and I just could not ignore it simply because of the reach that Joey Mannarino went with in this particular narrative that he tried to portray. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and play this video for you, or insert this video for you, where LeBron James is at this basketball game, and I believe his son is playing Bronny, and someone is performing the national anthem, and then LeBron James walks in with his daughter and he proceeds to sit down while the national anthem is being played. And then I'll come back and give the rest of the context behind what was said from Joey Mannarino.
What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the.
So you just saw the video right there, so you can see that it was people that was walking in, and LeBron James was walking in. He was being escorted by somebody, and he was with his daughter, and they went in, and while the national anthem was playing, he sat down, while it was still being sung by the performer. But if you notice, there were other people that were around him walking at the same time. Now, as someone who has worked in this type of environment, this is very typical. Usually when the national anthem is playing, those who are inside is always usually very quiet, or when people's performing it, some people might sing along with it. It is what it is. But there's always going to be noise on that concourse area because people are out there still coming into the building. People might be going to the restroom. People might be getting food. It could be a little bit noisy outside. But if you, like I said, you notice there's still people walking while this is still going on. But for some odd reason, Joey Mannarino made sure to point out LeBron James in particular while this was going on. And honestly, LeBron James being there is already a distraction in and of itself because of who it is, despite who he's coming there to see. So he's not going to draw more attention to himself. So he decides to sit down. And that's most likely why he did it. And guess what? If he had did something else, they probably would have been mad or said something about that too, because they always have to find a way to throw LeBron James in there somehow, some way. Have y'all ever noticed that whenever there's a situation involving LeBron James, they always make it seem like, how they always like to bring up Chicago and try to relate that to black people, or they bring up BLM and relate it to black people? I'm starting to believe that LeBron James and them bringing him up is code speak for black people. I'm starting to believe that now. But nevertheless, and moving on slightly from that, Joey Mannarino decided to put out this particular tweet right here. He said, LeBron James hates the country that made him a billionaire. He didn't kneel. He literally went and sat down during the anthem. Cancel him. So that, first off, notice where he led off with this particular statement. He said LeBron James hates the country that made him a billionaire. Instantly, he goes to the pocket watching. That's his first criticism of LeBron James, is that he's a billionaire. I've said before that when they announced that LeBron James officially became a billionaire, they were going to hate the hell out of him even more. I mean, they already hated him to begin with, but now they're really going to show their fangs. They're really going to loathe him because they feel like, and this is not just with LeBron James, they do this with a lot of black athletes. They feel like, oh, you shouldn't say anything. You shouldn't have anything or any opinion about anything because we, quote unquote, made you a billionaire and all this, that, and the third. No, his hard work and ethic made him a billionaire, because by that logic, that means everybody who's born in the establishment known as the United States of America would have become a billionaire just because we were born here. But see, they feel like, oh, if a black person becomes a billionaire in this establishment, that somehow it was the people, like such as a Joey Mannarino, that did it. But when it comes to those others, the usual suspects, Oh, it was just hard work. It was, ethics and good morals and all, and all of that good stuff. As if we don't work hard. They always like to make it seem like we're just giving everything and all this type of stuff right here. But like I said, when it was announced that LeBron James was officially a billionaire, I already knew they was going to feel some type of way. Just like when Laura Ingraham, she used to do the whole shut up and dribble thing, of course, which worked in LeBron James' favor because he took it and ran with it and turned it into a brand that helped aid into him become a billionaire. Did that do anything for Laura Ingram's net worth? Did her telling LeBron James to shut up and dribble do anything for her net worth? I highly doubt it. It did a lot for his though. It heavily increased it because he turned it into a brand. He then goes on to say he didn't kneel. Why would he be kneeling? As a matter of fact, the last person who kneeled during the national anthem, he got heavily scrutinized so much, in fact, that he got kicked out of the NFL and practically blackballed out of the entire NFL altogether. And then when he tried to make a way for himself, again involving money, they tried to call him everything in the book but the child of God. Y'all know who I'm talking about, Colin Kaepernick. So what are you talking about kneeling? Where is this coming from? No one's kneeling. A lot of that, the kneeling thing is pretty much done. Like no one's really doing that anymore, if at all. So I don't know where he came at or where he was coming from when he said that. He then says he literally went and sat down during the anthem. Okay. There was other people walking around. There was other people making noise. Not everyone was completely quiet during it, but you made sure to point out LeBron James because it was LeBron James. Then he says cancel him. It's interesting because these are the same people that said they claim to hate cancel culture, but they love to try and cancel black people any chance they get. Any chance they get. But they claim to hate cancel culture. But ironically too, with that, they are some of the ones that created cancel culture. It's crazy. The ones who created cancel culture are the ones who wants to do or say what can and cannot be canceled, and it better not be me. How can you create something in one day and then hate it the next? Just like when they created race and the hierarchy of it, now they want to say, oh, this is anti-white. Oh, this is, they're replacing us and all this, that, and the third. Because the thing is, they thought that whatever their ancestors created back then years ago was going to still be here years later. But they don't realize the world is shifting in a different direction than what their ancestors anticipated even back then, and they can't handle it. That's why they're acting out in the way that they are, because they're scared. As a matter of fact, shout out to Afro. He did a very, very good live stream the other day, a little while ago, talking about how with reparations, and it's the thumbnail that has Charlie Kirk of all people on it. They are literally in fear right now. They are panicking right now. And we know why. And they know why. They won't admit it, but we know the answer as to why they are panicking in the way that they are. And it's something because they're so used to being in control, and they cannot control this narrative. This is one of the few things that they can no longer control. And Dub S is literally the one thing that they are able to hold on to. And might I add, Joey Mannarino, listen, look at that last name. Does that sound like the typical European-centric last name? When you look at his image, you saw the picture I have up in the thumbnail, you saw his picture at the beginning. Does that look like the typical quote-unquote European? Because when you think of the typical European, you're thinking of blonde hair, blue eyes. This guy has dark hair and brown eyes. I'm just saying, historical context says that he would have been most likely cast out. He would have been pushed aside. But that's not even one of the worst parts of his statement, because there was another tweet that he posted in response to something else that someone posted in response to the one that you see on your screen. So check this out. So you have this user right here whose name is JV the Great. He posted this. What do these two have in common? So he put up a picture of LeBron James and Megan Rapinoe, the soccer player. And this was in response to the tweet you just saw me go over just a couple seconds ago. And the very first response to this from Joey Mannarino is, they have big black you-know-whats. And I had to blur it out, but that's what he said. That's what he literally said. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, so the first thing that he leads with in the previous tweet that he posts up that gets put out there is about how LeBron James hates the country that made him a billionaire. So he's pocket watching at that point. They typically love to pocket watch black people, as I've said several times on here and will continue to say, to literally talking about his manhood. You know that. And then also attached it and said that to Megan Rapinoe, who we know is a PC woman. Granted, albeit she is in the academy and she is a bit on the stud side. However, she is still a woman. She will never, ever have that extra bit of equipment down there, nor will it ever be how he described it. And many people was like looking in the comment section when he said that, and it was saying, how would you even know that, to even post something like this in reference to another man's genital area? And again, that goes back to slavery. You know how, the slave master, the buck breaking and all of that stuff, the mason jars and all, that whole degenerate, that's literally a degenerate culture right there. The fact that this was what he responded with when this person put up, what do these two have in common? I'm almost certain that the person who made this tweet was not expecting Joey to, one, respond, and two, to respond with something like that. That was the first thing that came to Joey's mind when he made that response, was to bring up LeBron James's manhood and then also try to attach it to a woman, a woman who's, like I said, by the way, PC. This guy is a pocket watching, an anti-black pocket watching weirdo. I mean, the tweets speak for themselves. He got mad because, he said he hates the country that made him a billionaire. Then he says he didn't kneel. I don't know why he brought that up. And then said to cancel him. Then when asked what do these two have in common, as in referred to LeBron and Megan, he says that they have they have the BBC. And I'm not talking about the British Broadcasting Communications. But the scary part about this whole thing is that Joey Mannarino is not the only one who probably feels this way. Well, not even probably, who does feel this way. There's others out there that feel the exact same way. It's just that he had the nerve and audacity to actually put it online. Again, they've always had a disdain and loathsome towards LeBron James for years now. When he became a billionaire officially, they hated him even more, because of the fact that they will never be able to compare or measure up. This is nothing but envy and jealousy on both fronts. Joey hates LeBron James because LeBron James is a billionaire. LeBron James is more popular. He's more well-known, more world-renowned. Most people didn't even know who Joey Mannarino was until today, when I made this video. Even when I talked about him months ago, many people didn't know who he was. Unless you were following me, then you're familiar with him now. But if you've newly subscribed since then, you never went back and looked at that video. Then when he mentions about this man's genitals, that's another thing he's also apparently envious of. But again, like people said in the chat or in the responses, how would you even know that? But see, that's another stereotype that's been put upon with black men. So really what you're seeing right here with this particular post is how Joey Mannarino literally hypersexualized or oversexualized another black man. And I say another black man because this has been done to black men over the years. Maybe not necessarily from Joey Mannarino, but from other men, mostly other PC men. They have an obsession. They have to bring this up into the conversation when it didn't need to be. I don't see what Megan and LeBron having in common has anything to do with a male's private area, private parts. It's nothing there. He could have said anything else, even related back to his initial tweet that again made no sense. But to follow it up with this says a lot about him. Like I said, Joey Mannarino is an anti-black pocket watching weirdo, and I'm going to stand firmly on that, and I guarantee this is not going to be the last time he says some off the wall shit. I stand firmly on that, and I'm not even a betting man, but if I was, I would most likely win that bet that he's going to post something egregious again. When, I don't know. Who about? I have no clue. It may be about LeBron again. But give it some time and he'll be talking again. And I'll be there to check his ass again.